The moment was brief. Too brief. But in that fragment of time, cameras captured something that sent not only army, but even casual observers spiraling into endless theories. A single glance, a subtle touch, a micro-expression that seemed to speak louder than words. Was it just fan imagination, or was it a truth that slipped through in the most unexpected way? The scene unfolded under bright lights and countless watchful eyes, yet it felt strangely intimate, almost as if the world had blurred into the background. Kim Taehyung V and Jungkook, standing side by side, didn't say a word. But then it happened. A moment so electric that it broke past the invisible walls separating stage personas from raw reality. A flicker in Taehyung's gaze. A softness in Jungkook's smile. And in that instant, the question was no longer if there was something between them, but how much they were willing to let the world see. Social media erupted. Hashtags multiplied within seconds. Taekook is real trended in multiple countries, joined by a wave of disbelief from those who had sworn never to buy into fan theories. Even non-ARS, people who couldn't name more than 2 BTS songs, were suddenly dissecting the footage frame by frame, as if they had stumbled upon a rare cultural event they didn't want to miss. What was it about this moment that made it feel different from every other interaction they've had? Perhaps it was the timing. Perhaps it was the context. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was the fact that the two have been under an unspoken scrutiny for years, their every move magnified by fans who see patterns in shadows and truth in glances. But this wasn't just another cute stage moment or a random coincidence. This felt intentional, calculated even, and yet heartbreakingly human. Some fans swear they saw Taehyung's fingers brush against Jungkook's as they shifted in place. Others insist there was no contact, that it was all an illusion created by camera angles and overactive imaginations. But here's the thing, does it even matter? Because the energy was undeniable. You didn't have to see the touch to feel it. Journalists who typically keep a neutral tone couldn't resist adding emotional undertones to their reports. One entertainment columnist wrote, "This was not a PR stunt. This was an unfiltered, unscripted piece of something real." Was it love? Was it friendship? Or was it something far more complicated, something neither of them can fully express in words? The most surprising part of this viral explosion is how it transcended fandom boundaries. This wasn't just a K-pop moment. It became a global pop culture moment. People who had never heard of Taekook before found themselves caught in the whirlwind, debating whether love had just peeked through the cracks of fame and performance. And yet, in the midst of the chaos, both Taehyung and Jungkook remained silent. No clarification, no denial, no attempt to redirect attention, just silence. And that silence only made the moment louder. So the question remains, if love can't be hidden, then was this the world's first glimpse at something they've been keeping to themselves all along? Or are we reading too much into something that was never meant to carry this much weight? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. This was more than just another fleeting idol interaction. This was the kind of moment that lingers, that replays in your head long after the screen goes dark, that leaves you wondering whether you just witnessed history or a beautifully orchestrated illusion. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly how they wanted it. And so, the question remains, why this moment? Why did this one fleeting exchange between Taehyung and Jungkook rise above thousands of other clips, countless concert videos, and endless fan edits to dominate not only ARMY spaces, but also casual social media users who have never followed BTS before? Perhaps it's because this wasn't a performance under blinding stage lights. There was no choreographed step, no calculated camera cue, no polished PR appearance. This was raw, unfiltered, and, dare we say it, almost too real on that warm evening, with city lights spilling over the edges of the street and the faint hum of fans in the background. Something happened between the two idols that cameras almost weren't supposed to catch. Taehyung's hand brushed against Jungkook's in a way that seemed both accidental and deliberate, the kind of contact that could be dismissed as nothing, yet left enough hesitation for imaginations to run wild. And then, the look. That's what set the internet on fire. Not a fan service smile, not an exaggerated wink, but something quieter, deeper. Jungkook's eyes softened in a way that betrayed years of shared history. Taehyung, usually so composed, glanced away as if the moment had revealed more than intended. Screenshots exploded across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hashtags trended in multiple countries. Hashtag Taekook, hashtag love can't be hidden, hashtag that look. Some fans swore this was proof of something they had long believed. Others argued it was nothing more than a sweet exchange between close friends. But the real intrigue came from the people outside the fandom, casual viewers who, after stumbling across the clip, commented things like, "I don't even follow BTS, but I can feel the tension here," or "You can't fake this kind of energy." Which begs the question, if people with no prior context could feel something in that split second, what does it say about the bond between Taehyung and Jungkook? Was this just an innocent display of friendship, or a glimpse into something carefully hidden from the public eye? And here's where it gets even more compelling. Those who attended the event reported that, moments before this now viral interaction, Taehyung had been unusually quiet. Jungkook, on the other hand, seemed almost hyper-aware of his surroundings, scanning the crowd and occasionally glancing toward Taehyung in a way that didn't match the casual energy of the night. Could it be that there was an unspoken tension building long before the cameras captured that look? The video in question, barely over 30 seconds long, might have been easy to miss in the endless flood of BTS-related content online. Yet within hours, it exploded across social media, not because it was staged or polished, but because it felt raw. It captured Taehyung and Jungkook in an unguarded moment, surrounded by others, yet locked into a bubble that seemed to exist solely between them. The crowd was loud, the lights were blinding, yet in that sliver of time, it was as if they were the only two people who mattered. Was this simple coincidence, or had the universe just given ARMY an unscripted peek into something much more profound? Fans who have followed Taekook's story for years know that their interactions have often been dissected, celebrated, and sometimes even questioned. This particular clip, however, struck differently. It wasn't the dramatic hand-holding from years past, nor the stage banter that could be brushed off as fan service. It was something subtler, an almost imperceptible lean toward each other, a shared glance that seemed to say 1,000 words, and the faintest smile tugging at Jungkook's lips when Taehyung shifted closer. Was this the language of friendship, or something deeper, something that even they couldn't quite hide? And here's where the plot thickens. Eyewitnesses at the event claim that before the cameras caught the scene, Taehyung and Jungkook had been apart for most of the evening, mingling separately with friends and acquaintances. The sudden shift, Jungkook appearing at Taehyung's side, sparked whispers among those in attendance. Some insist it was pure chance, that Jungkook just happened to cross the room at that exact moment. Others believe it was intentional, a quiet choice made by someone who didn't want to end the night without sharing a moment that mattered. Which version is closer to the truth?